Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody can hear me well. I would like to welcome you to the launch webinar of the European City Facility. Thank you very much for joining in these uneasy times, and we sincerely hope that you and your families are all safe and healthy. I would like to first introduce myself. My name is Jana Cicmanova. I'm a project manager in Energy Cities, the European Association of Cities in Energy Transition, and I will moderate this webinar today. I'm also accompanied by my colleagues who are the members of the European City Facility team, Francisco from Energy Cities as well, Madeleine from Adelphi, Akram and Pavel from Enviros, David and Jana from Climate Alliance, and Mariangela from FEDAREN, who will also manage the EU City Facility during the next 4 years. So that's just to introduce ourselves. The objectives of this webinar are to tell you more about the practical details about the EUCF, which was actually officially launched during the Covenant of Mayors Investment Forum in February this year in Brussels, in presence of the representatives of the European Commission and also of EASME, which is the European Agency, for Small and Medium Enterprises, who is actually managing and funding the initiative on the Commission side. The initiative is, by the way, funded by the Horizon 2020 program. Let me go to the next slide. Okay, so this is just to tell you more about the agenda of today. We will be together for 1 hour and a half. We will start with a short introduction to the EUCF to tell you more what it is, where it comes from, and how it is going to work. We will tell you more about how to apply to the European City Facility. We'll tell you more about the investment concept, which is actually the main result and main deliverable of the EU City Facility. My colleagues will tell you more about it. And then we will also tell you at the end what support for cities you can expect from the EUCF. At the end, we will have time for your questions, which you can actually ask either through the chat during the whole webinar. Please don't hesitate to ask your questions. And at the end, in this question and answer session, we will be able as well to unmute your microphone. So you can just raise your hand and we will unmute some of you so that you can ask your questions. I would also like to say that there were very many registrations to this webinar. It is going beyond our expectations, which is really great. But as we will be really many connected now for next 1 hour and a half, we will probably not be able to answer all your questions. That is why we will go through all the questions after the webinar and we will integrate them in the FAQs on which we are currently working, so that you will have all your answers in the documents, the support documents that will be presented later on by my colleagues. So now I would like to give the floor to Francisco to start the presentation, the general presentation of the EUCF.
Hello, can you hear me, Anna?
Yes, very well. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Francisco Gonçalves. I'm Jana's colleague in Energy Cities, and we are the project coordinators of the European City Facility. And I hope you are safe and okay in these times. Next slide, Anna, please. Giving you a brief introduction and overview of the context, the European Commission estimates that there is an annual need to mobilize between 100 and 200 billion euros, so per year, to invest in energy and climate and to comply with the 2030 energy and climate goals. We also know that public money, and when I speak about public money, I'm referring to the multi-annual financial framework, will not be enough, and that there is a huge need to mobilize private investment. Next. Thanks. Cities are not only in the core of the energy transition process. We know that more than 70% of the CO2 emissions are produced within the cities. But cities also have a tremendous potential to drive investment programs, building a pipeline of investment projects, mobilizing a significant amount of finance, and to aggregate smaller projects into sizable packages. We know that there are in place some very relevant financial instruments that really want to tackle this lack of private financing, but these very relevant instruments are more used or are easier to be used by bigger cities. We know that most part of the EU cities are small and medium size, and that these small and medium-sized cities face normally some barriers, normally limited to the capacity and human resources. So cities are very busy and with the daily management, and it's difficult to put teams in practice to go a bit beyond the and think about, for instance, the project finance, and also they have kind of conservative approach to project finance. This is also shown by a Covenant of Mayors survey from 2016, where it was shown that most part of the cities that were answered have an idea to finance their projects in energy and climate for 2030 through own budget or municipal budget or through grants. So, and this is also explained because the lack of experience that they show in developing investment packages or also in investing in a project preparation. So we really want here to tackle and to work with the medium and the small size cities and hope to support them to overcome these barriers and give more support in technical assistance. Next. So the city facility aims to provide financial and technical support and to cities and groups and groups of cities to accelerate the implementation of their energy and climate plans. And why can we be different? Because we also want cities to have a say on how this support can be used to meet the needs of the cities. Next. And more concretely, the objectives of this city facility is to provide this technical, financial expertise, and also to more than 200 cities that will be supported and will be funded and supported to the development of investment concepts. So that will be explained later. What is it about? To build capacity and train hundreds of municipal staff, to facilitate the access to private and EU finance and advisory services, and through the Covenant of Mayors, and many of us here in the consortium are managing the Covenant of Mayors for energy and climate in Europe. That has more than 10,000 cities. We want also to reach this big number of cities and encouraging the application, but also the replication and how to and give this technical assistance. Next. So, and how cities can access to this facility. So there will be applications, there will be calls for proposals that will be divided in 3 main regions, also to more or less try to aggregate projects that are more similar in some regions than others. So we have the southern part of Europe, the western, and also Central and Eastern Europe. So there will be these calls in 3 regions. They will be parallel, and they will be put together in the same kind of a pot. Next. For the 3 regions, there will be 4 calls for proposals. These are the number of cities that will be funded in each one of the calls for each one of the regions. We made this division taking into consideration the population size and the Berlin formula, that is the formula used by the European Commission to allocate the cohesion funds. And the last slide is just to say that we are going to open the first call for proposals, and here please take the note that is by the end of May, so the 25th of May until the 2nd of October. We were planning to have calls that were open for 2 months, but due to this current situation of the COVID-19, we agreed together with EASM, the Executive Agency for Small and Medium Enterprises of the European Commission, that is working with us on this, to have it open at least in the first call for a longer period of time. Then the next call, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, we also plan to have 2 months to be open to each call. And we are going to speak more about the calls now with other colleagues. Thanks, Jana.
Okay, thank you very much, Francisco. Now I would like to give the floor to our colleagues from Adelphi and Envirus to tell you more about how to apply to the EUCF calls.
Thank you, Jana. Can you hear me well?
Yes, very well.
Okay, great. Thank you. So good morning also from my side. My name is Madeleine Schneider. I'm working for Adelphi, which is one of the technical partners of the consortium based in Berlin, Germany. In this session, I will provide you with an overview of the EUCF application process, and my colleague Pavel Sidney will give you afterwards more details where and how to apply online. Next slide, please. So here you can see the overall application procedure, which consists of 2 main steps. This is first the eligibility check, and second the full application. So as a first step, you as an applicant can perform the eligibility check directly online, which is a simple automated questionnaire. So to be eligible, you must be able to answer yes to all of the 5 requirements. Eligible applicants are then able to move forward in the application process, while the non-eligible ones are redirected to the EUCF help desk for support. So next, eligible applicants are then able to complete the full application form online and submit it through the EUCF website. Afterwards, then, when the call for applications is closed, the applications are evaluated by a dedicated team, and the best scored applications will be selected and conclude grant agreements to receive the EUCF support. The rejected applications can seek support from the help desk and are able to participate again in the next call for applications. And on the next slide, we will go now into more details of the different steps. So as I've just mentioned, the eligibility check corresponds to stage 1 of the application process. and it verifies if an applicant is eligible to apply for financial support from the EUCF. For this, 5 requirements have to be met. First, the EUCF is addressed to municipalities and local authorities, or to groupings of municipalities and local authorities, which have to be located within an EU member state or the UK. So groupings are also invited to apply, which includes formal as well as informal groupings. I will give you more details on this afterwards. In addition, the applicant also need to have a politically approved sustainable energy action plan, or a sustainable energy climate action plan, or a plan of similar ambition. In addition, the applicant must be able to provide proof of political commitment to develop the investment concept, and must also commit to the EUCF monitoring period of 2 years, which means that simple monitoring forms on the implementation process of the investment concept have to be completed. This will help to assess the impact of the EUCF. So to be eligible, applicants must be able to answer yes to all of these questions, and immediately also receive the results after doing this check. So at this stage, no supporting documents are required. Next slide, please. So after successfully passing the eligibility check, the applicant is able to complete the full application form online in a login space of the EUCF website. So the application form consists of a set of questions, which I will show you more on the next slide. But in addition to the application form, 3 supporting documents have to be submitted. This is first either a CEAP, CCAP, or plan of similar ambition, to show that the municipality already has an overall climate and energy strategy. What do we mean by a plan of similar ambition? This is a politically approved plan, which is considered equivalent if it includes energy and climate targets, at least for the year 2020. In addition, a letter of support to the investment concept signed by the mayor or other relevant political representative need to be submitted, and a self-declaration form. To facilitate this process, the submission of these documents, templates are provided, which can be easily filled by the applicants. Next, please. So here you can see the 3 sections of the application form. The first one only includes general information about the applicant, so contact and address details, and the LAU and NUTS-3 code. These codes are used to categorize the municipalities in the European Union, and they are automatically assigned in the application form based on the address details provided. In the next section, the applicant has to provide information how it is intended to develop the investment concept. So this actually concerns the period for which the municipality receives the EUCF grant. And so here information has to be provided on the envisaged allocation of the EUCF grant, if there is an internal organizational structure in place to develop the investment concept, and how it is planned to engage the stakeholders in this period. In the last section, this comprises preliminary information on the proposed investment project for which the investment concept should be developed, so on the investment project itself. So here the applicant is asked to tick the sectors in which the investment project will be developed. So here it's important to mention that the EUCF provides support for investment projects in the field of sustainable energy. So this can be public buildings, residential buildings, sustainable urban mobility, and also other sectors, as long as they are in the field of sustainable energy. Regarding non-eligible measures, here the EUCF is aligned with the new energy lending policy of the European Investment Bank. Therefore, the EUCF has a clear position not to support investments in energy projects that are reliant on unabated fossil fuels. But except for this, as I just mentioned, flexibility is given as long as the projects are in the field of sustainable energy. In addition, the applicant also should provide first estimations on the investment size and the energy savings of the investment project. And for these estimations, also the corresponding supporting documents and calculation logs should be attached in order to allow the evaluators to understand where the values come from and what parameters have been used for the calculation. But also for this, templates will be provided to facilitate the estimations. And finally, a small description should be given about the replication or upscaling potential of the investment project. Next slide, please. Yeah, as I just mentioned on the previous slide, the applicant has to provide information in the application form how the grant of the EUCF is intended to be used. So as we've mentioned before, the 60,000 euro grant is provided to support activities that are necessary for the development of investment concept. So the grant amount can be used for in-house staff if internal capacities are sufficient. It can be used for external experts, subcontractors to support the development, but also for other positions that are necessary for the investment concept development. Among activities that can be funded are feasibility studies, social studies, market studies, and also further relevant supporting tasks. Next one, please. So what has to be considered when applying as a grouping? So first of all, the EUCF highly encourages groupings of municipalities and local authorities to apply. This can be either done as a formal grouping, for example, formalized by an Assembly Act, or as an informal grouping. The grouping only has to define one responsible partner, so one lead applicant. And this lead applicant or the formal grouping need to have energy or climate action plan and also provide the other supporting documents, which I've mentioned before. A few additional things to consider are that in the application form, the relations and decision-making processes within the grouping have to be outlined. So how the grouping plans to develop together the investment concept. Moreover, as Francisco has mentioned before, the EUCF aims to support especially small and medium-sized cities, and if feasible, encourages them to team up. So groupings are appreciated in the evaluation process. And in case such an application is successful, the grant amount of 60,000 euros is awarded to the grouping as a whole. This means the lump sum is awarded per application, not per municipality. Next slide, please. So after all applications have been submitted and the call is closed, the evaluation of the applications is conducted by a dedicated evaluation team. And each application is evaluated individually by 2 different evaluators. The evaluators verify if the supporting documents have been submitted and if they contain the required content. If this is not the case, if the documents are incomplete, the application cannot be further considered and the applicant will be notified about this. Then applications are evaluated using 5 evaluation criteria, which I will show you in more detail on the next slide. But first, to the scoring. For each of these 5 evaluation criteria, a score ranging from 0 to 5 is awarded. 0 meaning that the application completely fails to address the criterion, and 5 meaning that the application addresses the criterion in an outstanding manner. Moreover, a quality threshold is set for each criterion, which is a score of 3 out of 5. This means that the applicants have to reach a minimum score of 3 per criterion to be able to be successful in order to ensure a certain standard of the beneficiaries that receive the grant. To generate the final score per criterion, the median of the scores of given by the evaluators is used. Next slide, please. So here you can see the 5 evaluation criteria in more detail. So for the first 2 criteria, energy savings and investment size, the level of ambition of the respective application is assessed in relation to the other submitted applications in the regional call and also in relation to the local context. In addition, it is assessed if the application has a robust internal organizational structure in place to develop the investment concept, if the key stakeholders are known and planned to be engaged, and also if the application is aligned with the EUCF objectives. In order to derive the final score of the application, the weightages that you see here for the categories and the criteria are applied. Finally, when the evaluations are scored, every applicant receives a feedback report with the final result and the corresponding justification. Next, please. So we are now at the end of the application process. So I've again depicted the EUCF journey here for your orientation. So the application phase normally takes 2 months. As Francisco has mentioned, it has now been extended to 4 months because of COVID-19. The successful applications will then move to the next phase, which is the grant agreement phase, to conclude the grant agreements. And in this phase, 70% of the grant sum will be dispersed. The other 30% will be dispersed after positive validation of the investment concept. So at the beginning of stage 5, which I will explain to you a little later. Now I will give the floor to my colleague Pavel, who will show you the application process from an IT perspective. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you also hear me?
Yes, Pavel, very well.
Great.
Go ahead. Thanks.
Good morning. I am Pavel Sitný from Enviros, based in Prague, the EUCF team member responsible for setup and maintenance of web application for processing the information on all projects within the EUCF program. You have already learned from Madeline that all projects under the EUCF program will be handled by a single methodology, and that every successful project will follow similar project journey. In the following short presentation, I would like to introduce you the project journey from the IT perspective, or simply put, what awaits you as a potential client of the EUCF program. I will mainly focus on the initial phase of the journey, which concerns the preparation and submission of your application for EUCF grant supporting development of the investment project. The project journey begins with the publication of the EUCF call. Within the preparation phase, all interested parties on the EUCF website are invited to verify their readiness to participate in the EUCF program. Those who pass this initial test are offered to register as a potential EUCF grant applicant. Registered users gain access to the web-based information system through which they will submit their applications for the duration of the call. Upon completion of the call, all submitted applications shall proceed to the evaluation stage. Let me now demonstrate how candidates will proceed in the practice to check readiness for EUCF program registration and full application. Next slide, please. EUCF web visitors will be invited to test their readiness by completion of the eligibility check form as mentioned by Madeleine. The form contains 5 general questions indicating, in case of affirmative answers, that the candidate is ready to participate in the EUCF program. The candidates are then offered the opportunity to register to the EUCF program. Next slide, please. Registration is very simple. The candidate fills in the basic information about the applicant's organization and the responsible person and selects the appropriate entry from the list of municipalities that can participate in the EUCF program, as Madeleine mentioned the law codes. In case that one application will be submitted by a group of municipalities, it's possible to select more items in this step. Next slide, please. Registered users are then able to log into the EUCF web application at any time. They will administer the application and, in case of success, all consequent further steps related to the grant for the preparation of the investment plan. Next slide, please. Registered users will then create a new full application form, which they will be able to complete and submit for evaluation during the open call for the EUCF. The form can be completed step by step. Unfinished forms can always be saved to be completed later. Next slide, please. As Madeleine mentioned, the application also includes several mandatory and optional documents that will be used in the evaluation of applications. Applicants will upload these documents to the web application in PDF format. Final version of the form has to be submitted for evaluation until the end of the EUCF call. Next slide, please. Finally, I would like to add that within the framework of the EUCF program, an online help desk will be available to all interested parties for further information. Next slide, please. Interviewers will send their questions via the form available on the EUCF website, which you can see on this slide. And this is also last slide of my presentation. So should you have any questions, I'm at your disposal in the appropriate slot of the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pavel. And now we will continue with a more detailed explanation of what the investment concept actually is and how to get there. So I will give the floor back to Madeleine.
Thank you, Jana. Yeah, so we have now been talking a lot about investment concepts, but what do we actually mean by this term? So in this session, we will have a particular look at the purpose and structure of an investment concept, and which means there are to support you in developing it. So what is an investment concept? It is a document which converts a climate and energy plan or part of its measures into financial language in order to mobilize finance for its implementation. So it provides a concise overview of the planned investment project to investors and financial institutions to enable them a quick assessment. Therefore, this document shall facilitate the access to funding for municipalities and local authorities. So far, many municipalities have developed very ambitious climate and energy action plans, but had difficulties to access appropriate funding for it. In turn, financial institutions are more and more interested in financing sustainable energy projects, but they have problems in finding investment projects that fulfill their requirements. So this document shall help to bridge this gap. Next slide, please. We have developed an investment concept template, which is one of the most important supporting tools for you to develop the investment concept. It should facilitate the development process and give guidance which information is required to fulfill. This template has been prepared in close consultation with the key stakeholders of the EUCF, so with financial institutions, with municipalities, and with climate and energy experts to ensure its market relevance and to also ensure that it is feasible for municipalities. So what does this investment concept template entail? First of all, it starts with a one-page summary. This is kind of a teaser elevator pitch with key information on the investment project to allow for a quick first overview for investors to see if they are interested. Then the main body consists of 5 sections, which I will show you more on the next slide. Supporting documents can then be also attached to the annex to complement and provide details on the main part. Next. So let us now have a closer look at the main part of the investment concept template that is based on a 5-point structure. The first section, in this one, the beneficiary presents an overview of the proposed investment. This includes the objectives of the investment project. It provides an overview of the general framework conditions and the relevant policy framework in which the project is going to be developed. Then also the technical measures that are planned should be described. The barriers and obstacles identified for the project and ways to bridge this gap should be highlighted. Moreover, the expected impact should be presented, such as energy savings, renewable energy production, avoided CO2 emissions, and also social and climate impacts. So at this stage, already specific estimations should be made. This is different to the application form where only initial estimations are expected, but here at this later stage already specific estimations should be made. Moreover, the beneficiary should explain how the project can be replicated in other contexts or has the potential to be upscaled. And finally, a summary of the investment component should be provided. In the second section, it concerns the project promoters. These are the organization leading the investment project and further organizations associated to it. So An overview should be provided on the level of commitment to the project and possible further previous experience with other investment programs. Also, an overview of the ownership structure over the concerned assets should be provided, and the creditworthiness. Moreover, the outcomes of the performed stakeholder analysis should be presented, including the needs and expectations identified for of the relevant stakeholders. This is followed by a legal feasibility of the planned investment, which concerns the legal requirements applicable to the investment project. Also, potential legal or regulatory incentives and obstacles there are to the realization of the investment project. The fourth section, which is a very important one, focuses on the economic and financial aspects of the planned investment project. Here, the beneficiary should indicate the estimated costs, cost savings and other revenues. Financial indicators should be shown, such as simple payback period, net present value, and internal rate of return. Also, critical risks that are able to affect the project implementation and potential mitigation measures should be highlighted. And also very important is, of course, the envisaged financing approach with potential funding sources for the investment project. The last section provides an outlook on the realization of the investment project. Here, the beneficiary has the possibility to state if any additional types of technical support or capacity building activities are required for the preparation or implementation of the investment project. And a work plan should be prepared to present the next steps in the process to launch the planned investments. So these 5 sections together make the main body of the investment concept template. Next slide, please. So during this development of the investment concept period, the EUCF provides, besides the financial support of the grant, also other means of support, such as technical expertise through the respective country experts, which are assigned for each EU member state or the UK. And also technical support is provided through the EUCF-Team that can be contacted through the help desk. In addition, capacity building events will be organized, and also standard tools and documents such as the investment concept template are provided. You will hear more about the support instruments in the next session of this webinar. But overall, each beneficiary is requested to develop and submit the investment concept within 12 months from the signature of the grant agreement. Next slide, please. So after finalization of the investment concepts, they are validated by a dedicated evaluation team based on an English summary. Why an English summary? Because the investment concept is developed in national language. So we're not asking the beneficiaries to translate the whole investment concept. No, but only to provide some key figures in the English summary. So in order to allow the evaluators for a good overview and understanding of the proposed investment. So the English summary is kept concise, comprising of some key performance indicators. This English summary is validated then with the help of some quality criteria that have to be met in order to receive the second payment of the EUCF grant, which is the remaining 30% of the total value. If there are any missing data or inconsistent information in the English summary, the beneficiary is notified and is able also to improve and resubmit the document. In the unfortunate event, if the beneficiary is not able to deliver the investment concept within the 12 months, she or he will have to submit a non-implementation report describing which challenges occurred and also the learnings from the process. So overall, as I've mentioned before, the EUCF team and the country experts will be there to assist the municipalities throughout the development process of the investment concepts, and will strive to minimize such situations through the technical support provided. However, if these situations occur that it cannot be completed, it is also the objective to jointly learn from these experiences and base on them. So after the positive validation, municipalities are then able to proceed with the implementation of the investment concept. So this was an overview of the development process of the investment concept. I hope it helped understanding the gist of it. And in case you have any questions, you can raise them afterwards in the Q&A section. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madeleine. And then now I will give the floor to Davide from Climate Alliance to tell you more about the support available from the EUCF to the beneficiaries.
Thank you very much, Diana. Can you hear me well?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Davide Castelmagnago from Climate Alliance, one of the 3 networks part of the EUCF consortium. And I'll tell you a bit more about the support available from the EUCF side throughout the journey that cities will take. First slide, please. So when we talk about the support available for city, we thought about support that can apply at 3 different stages. First of all, support in the application phase. So support that includes different tools to support cities in applying to the EUCF. We're talking here guidelines, we're talking access to country experts and FAQs, all things that will be more uncovered from my presentation later on. Second step of support is in designing the investment concept. So what Madeleine just presented to you in the presentation before, so the investment concept, the availability of a template for you to follow, again, the possibility to engage with the experts in all member states to assist you in this phase. And finally, support available for beneficiaries after the investment concept is designed and validated. So in leveraging your investment towards implementation of your projects. Okay, but let's go a bit more into details with the available supporting tools. Next slide, please. We will start with the help desk. So the EUCF help desk can be considered as the main point of contact when it gets to assisting you along your EUCF journey. It is composed by the EUCF-Team, consortium members, and the country experts, 1 in each member state. The help desk looks at EUCF applicants, beneficiaries, country experts themselves, and the public. So all of these categories can refer to the help desk in the different phases of their engagement with the EUCF. How is it structured? Next slide, please. So here we have a structure of the help desk. Everything gravitates around the EUCF website and the dedicated area that will be soon available online. As you can see here, all applicants, beneficiaries, country experts, the public itself will be able to approach the help desk through a two different processes, depending whether they are registered or not to the EUCF platform. So if they have like generic question as public, or if they have more detailed queries on the application process, or even further steps the moment you become a beneficiary of the EUCF. So again, the point of exchange will be the website, and whoever is interested in forwarding a query to the help desk will be able to do it through the mentioned dedicated section available soon. Cities can also engage, especially in this initial phase, with the EUCF through the info@eusfacility.eu email account. And then they will be able also to engage with country experts through the channels that specific country expert in all member states will make available soon. Next slide, please. So there's a screenshot of the EUCF website and where to find the help desk, and where the two different links will be available for you to forward your queries, whether you are already registered to the EUCF platform, you have your login credentials or not. I will move on to the next slide now. Connected to the help desk, there are other tools, mechanisms to support you. Some of them we already went through this morning with my colleagues, presentation from my colleagues. There will be, for sure, I will stop a second more now on the FAQs, because we do believe that FAQs are essential tool for you to get support and answers in your journey within the EUCF. So we really encourage you to first look at them. They will be available by the end of the month on a dedicated section of our website again. And yeah, we strongly encourage you to refer to them as a first source of support before looking at any other channel, because we're compiling them since time now. We're gathering input from cities, from all stakeholders involved into the EUCF process. So we are sure that it will include most of possible queries at any stage of the process. And they will be also constantly updated along the way. So please refer to the FAQs first, and then in case you still need it, you can contact the help desk to the website. Then, of course, there will be guidelines for applicants available, guidance for country experts, templates and material, case studies. When we get to further steps and phases of the EUCF process, we will have already successful cases of investment concepts, successful stories to tell and share with you still through the website. Now we move to some crucial actors that come into place and have been mentioned already when talking about supporting you. And these are mainly country experts and national networks. Country experts have been selected through a call in the last months in each member state. They are mainly organizations and or individuals with expertise in sustainable energy and finance. Their main role will be to guide municipalities during the whole city journey. So in particular, country experts will act as the national help desk, so queries will be directed to them, and they will answer to whatever doubt you still have after having checked the FAQs. Their role is particularly important during the post-application phase, so when they can guide the beneficiaries through the development of the complete and successful investment concept. Another important aspect of their support is the capacity building. So they will work together with national networks that, on the other hand, have a slightly limited role because they will focus mainly on organizing webinars and info sessions prior to each EUCF call, and they are responsible for national promotion of the EUCF. Country expert, I was saying, they will work together with national networks in organizing those sessions, in which also some technical advice and guidance will be provided. Then, as you can see, this slide will have different roles, and here I wanted to include for you a list of distribution. This is just a map for national, local networks and country experts in northern West Europe countries. I will not name them right now, but I included in my presentation so that you will have it available after the webinar. Next slide will show you the distribution of country expert and national networks in Central Europe. So next slide, please. And the last one, it's about country expert and national networks in Southern Europe. Again, all these contacts will be available on our website soon. So the list of country experts, national networks, and the way to engage with them. Last but not least, what we call EU added value activities. So the EUCF-Team is planning a series of events and exchanges to be organized, having the following objectives. No? On one hand, maximizing the input and the financial leverage of all of your projects, aggregate opportunities by region and technologies, create links between cities and the investor community, and also not to forget, facilitate the replication of success beyond the actual beneficiaries of the facility. So organizing key-wide activities to engage whoever didn't manage to get into the facility, getting support yet, and or whoever is interested in the success of the facility. So what do we mean for EU added value activities? No? So of course, given the actual conditional situation, we cannot schedule any activity for the moment. All the information will be again available on the website as soon as events are scheduled. We have in mind peer-to-peer exchanges at different stage of the journey. So moments where events where cities can interact with other cities and exchange their success in, for example, applying to the UCF, in creating, designing an investment concept, in even make it to the market investors and then have leverage further investments. So learning from peers. Also very important, and this is one of the main tools you will have at your disposal for the post-investment concept phase to support you in accessing the market, will be the matchmaking events. So that we're planning to organize with potential investors all over Europe in, again, trying to boost the leverage of investment once you have validated investment concepts in your hand. So, and finally, we'll come to my last slide, the UCF website. So the site www.eucitysfacility.eu, you will find a website that collects all of this information and will be up to date with the newest event and news. Don't forget the UCF website is also the access to the platform to apply to the UCF. So you will have you will forward the request, you will receive the login details, and you will be able to apply to all the courses of the UCF. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Davide, for this. And now we are moving to the question and answer session. So what we will do is that we will see which participants are raising their hands so that they want to ask the question. And we will unmute their microphone. So hopefully you will be able to use them. We will see how it works. Otherwise, if we have difficulties with this, because of different audio settings that could be disturbing, we can also read aloud some of the questions that you asked on the chat. And also just to remind you that all the questions will be answered that you asked via the chat through the FAQs and will be included in the guidelines for applicants. It's possible, but that many of the questions you're asking are already answered, and you will find the answers later on the EUCF website. So I will ask my colleagues for a little help with raising hands.
Yes, Jana, so I can see that we have already some raised hands, and I would then give the floor to, sorry for the name, Gordana Mikulic. So please, the floor is yours if you may.
Sorry, I didn't have any questions. I was just, I don't know if I stopped something, but since I'm here, I do have a question. I saw that in this UCF schools, there will be only, will there be something which we can, I don't know, that will only be for documents? Or it will be able and I don't know, in the next period in other call we shall be able to do with the document something to, I don't know, build something, or that's only for documents. Did you hear me?
Yes, we could hear you very well. Just trying to, yeah, if I understand well your question, you're asking if there will be any other support on top of the documents that you can
Yes.
you can download on the website. Yes, so as it was presented in the previous session, there will be also an online help desk that you can contact through a query, through an online form, and you will receive the answer. And what we will also prepare to support you in the application process is that thanks to the national city networks and the country experts, we will also organize national info sessions or info webinars in the national language. And you will also be able to interact with these colleagues who are an extended arm of the EU City Facility team. And as the last support tool, we will also be working on the good practice case studies of examples of successful investment concepts, so that it gives you a better idea and a concrete example of how the investment concept could look like at the end. So that's the final product of the EUCF that you will produce thanks to the EUCF grant and thanks to this support. And then, as Davide mentioned before, later on, we will also foresee and organize different events either at regional level or at EU-wide level to bring the beneficiaries and together so that they can exchange also on the development of the investment concept or also on the implementation later on. So there will be more as well, other ways of support you.
Okay, I have another question about the, you said the, for the eligibility check, there could be a SECAP or plan of similar ambition. Could it be an action plan which is put in our national, which the governments put in our national laws, that we have to make them? Could that be that action plan for 3 years?
So actually it is supposed to be an action plan that is really local. So it's the municipality or local authority who developed this plan, and that is also politically approved. So similar to the,
That's the same thing. We have to do it with the national laws. We have to make them, and our government has to get it on our what is it called in English? Just a second. Anyway, we have to make it with our city government. Has to.
Yeah, so yeah, if it is made at a local level, even if it is part of the national law, let's say, then it is it should be okay. For the purpose of the UCF.
Okay, I mean we have a SECAP, but we also have this one too. So.
Okay. So yeah, we can integrate this question to make it really clear what is acceptable or not in the framework of the UCF in the FAQs. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Second person in line with the raised hand. I will give the floor now to Stefan Black. Please, the floor is yours. Okay, it seems there's no question any longer on this side. We then move to the third person in line, Benoit Couvelier. The floor is yours.
Good morning. Just a short question. What do you mean by small and medium-sized cities? What is the number of inhabitants for medium cities, for example?
Yeah, so we do not have, it is not limited. There is no like official limit for what is small or what is medium cities. It's just, yeah, I would say an informal information that we would like to reach this type of cities because there are really many around the EU, and usually they do not have always access to European funds because of different reasons and different barriers that were already mentioned before. But there is no a limit of the size.
Yeah. For
We
example,
just would like to encourage these cities to apply.
Okay. I work in a metropole, in Nantes metropole, and it's 600,000 inhabitants. Is it considered as big or medium or small? And a second question, in the metropole, we have different cities, smaller cities. Is it possible that these cities apply in their name as well as a metropole? So
yeah, this is a good question because the setting is very different from one member state to another. So I expect that we will have more questions like this one. But what will be important is the LAU and the NATS3 code. So the municipality that has already applied with the same code cannot apply this the second time. So that's the only limitation that we have. And for the size, whether it is big or it is small, actually the bigger cities or big cities, yeah, we call them like that, it's more informal, are not excluded from the EUCF. What we did is that thanks to the national city networks and country experts that support us, we would like to reach the nation, also thanks to the fact that they speak the national language, really do not participate in the EU funds and calls because of the language barrier. But all the cities are very welcome to apply.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And next in line we have Maro Sarigati, please.
From Belgium in Antwerp, in the province of Antwerp. My question was a bit similar to the previous one. We would like to present a number of different cities so that we can create a grouping. Is this possible that on a provincial level, different smaller cities are combined? Because I saw that you mentioned a limit of 11 cities for the Northwest Europe. Hello?
Yes, so it will be actually 11 applicants in the first call that we will be able to select.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
So that does not limit the.
Yes, sorry.
That does not limit the number of cities to 11. It means that 11 applications are going to take place.
Exactly. Yeah.
And,
yeah, exactly.
And there could be any number of smaller cities combined in one application.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah, that's
okay.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next in line is Alessandro Schullo, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Well.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation. I'm sorry, but maybe I joined a bit later the presentation, so my question maybe has been already addressed. But about the consortium or the consortia, they are supposed to be led by a municipality, but is it possible for different bodies like university or NGO, small, medium enterprises to be part of a consortium, or the consortia are supposed to be composed only of municipalities?
Yes, so it's only for municipalities and for local authorities. The other types of organizations, like you mentioned, are not eligible as applicants and they cannot receive the grant. But on the other hand, they can be part of the local consortium that will work together with local authority on the development of the investment concept. As it was mentioned, there are different stakeholders. There is a stakeholder analysis that is supposed to be done. And their local authorities, they are encouraged to work with the different stakeholders to develop their investment concepts. But it's only them who can receive the grant.
Only municipalities can receive, sorry for being so rude, money from the EUCF.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Céline Sans.
Yes, hello, thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I have two very quick questions, I imagine. The first one is about the application. Does the application have to be filled in English? And the documents, for instance, the local action plans, do they have to be sent in local language or not? Yeah, just a question about languages. I work with rural municipalities, so small municipalities, and English can sometimes be a barrier. So I try to have a better idea of what has to be submitted in English or in local languages.
Here, Francisco, I can just answer to your question. Yes, the application form and the eligibility check are to be done in English language, but it's as my colleague Madeleine explained, is a very simple and fast tracking application form. So we really don't want to be a burden in the application process. However, the investment concept, so the main result that you'll have the financial support to develop is to be developed in the different national languages. And we just require English summary of the investment concept in English, but the main result, because you're supposed to use the investment concept to get financing for your energy and climate projects, is supposed to be developed in the different national languages.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And the second question is there a limit or a minimum or maximum, I don't know, for the investment, the amount of investment in the investment concept?
No, there is no. We want one of the main criteria for the evaluation of the application forms, as Madeleine explained, is the investment size, and the other is energy savings. But we don't have a limit, so you'll be compared with other applicants, but we don't have a limit. And also, in the end, we encourage all the beneficiaries of the European City Facility to implement the project for which they developed the investment concept. We encourage them to really and support giving capacity building and matchmaking events to really go further to the implementation. But if unfortunately it's not going to be possible because of many reasons for the implementation, there is no obligation for the cities to implement the project. So you don't have to prove that you deployed and implemented your energy and climate project. You have to commit to a 2 years of monitoring for us to be able also to support you and to follow your activities and to see how good or is the initiative. But yeah, you don't have to prove it. You don't have.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next question from Marie Orihuel, please.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I'm sorry for my question. I do apologize, but it's a bit confusing for me. What you can finance is the putting in place of the investment concept, because I understand this investment concept as a roadmap for the city or the local institution, but then you need already one to be able to submit. So I'm a bit confused of what is exactly that is covered by the grant and what is supposed to be the job of the local authority. I'm really sorry, but that's I do not understand exactly what is expected.
This is a very good question. Thank you. I'm wondering, Madeline, if you would like to answer this one, or
Yes,
Pavel to explain well the difference between the application stage and then the final product, which is the investment concept.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much for the question. Yeah. So at the application stage, investment concept doesn't have to be finished, or there just has to be some sort of an idea for what the investment project will be, and that this should be outlined in the application form. So it is not expected to have already done a very in-depth development of this concept already, but just in the application form an outline should be provided. So an initial estimation, as I mentioned, of the energy savings and investment size. And then the EUCF grant will be awarded for activities which are necessary to develop the investment concept. So where the city needs support, for example, as I said, in performing feasibility studies or in doing social studies, legal analysis, and so forth. And with the grant, either the internal staff can be paid, or external experts can be included to develop these activities and to have support in finalizing the investment concept. So for this, the EUCF grant is here. And then when the investment concept is finalized, just afterwards, then it will be implemented. So then with the investment concept, the city is able, should be able to address financial institutions to receive the funding for the investment project itself.
Just the last point, maybe you can just re-explain. The rest were quite clear, but just the last point.
Yeah, so when the investment concept is finalized, so when you have a complete document which is validated by the EUCF, then the municipality should be able to address financial institutions or banks, either at EU level or at local level, to receive funding for the investment project. So for the project itself, to implement it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, okay. I hope it's clearer now. Hopefully.
Yeah, maybe also just to complement, the investment concept is something that we felt was missing between your SEAP, Sustainable Energy or Climate Action Plan, and the fully fledged investment plan. For example, also the cities or regions, provinces that applied to ELENA, EIB program or project development assistance program of in the Horizon 2020 program, had sometimes difficulties like with very first steps of developing their full investment plan. So trying to ensure the governance of their investment project, trying to bring, for example, different departments in the local authority together to do this also organizational work. Maybe for some parts they were missing the legal or financial analysis because they didn't have experts in-house, and this EUCF is trying to overcome this gap between the setup and the fully fledged investment plan. So it's really just to get the process started and get a better idea of what investment projects you would like to implement and how to do it, where to get the financing and so on.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. And we have a question from Eva Atanasako, please.
Hello, good morning. I would like to ask how much comprehensive the application must be, because there are many questions and all are very, very important. And I don't know how, to what extent one should explain and address these questions. Hello? Hello?
Yes, we could hear your question, but I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I understood well. Could you please repeat it?
Yes, I would like to know how much the application, how much comprehensive the application should be, because we have to answer to many questions, and so I don't know how much details one should give to these questions. Is there a limit per question, pages per question, or how big this application should be, let's say?
Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, now I understand better. Maybe I will let Madeleine or Pavel answer this question. It's okay for you?
Yeah, I can answer this question. So we have not set a limit except for, I think, the objective of the investment project, like one paragraph, because we didn't want to limit you in answering these questions. But at this stage, at the application stage, we're not expecting very long answers. We just want to receive kind of an overview of the questions that are provided. For example, if you have the question on the replication potential, this should really just be a short outline where you could see how it potentially could be replicated in another context or upscaled. So just a very brief outline, could be 1-2 paragraphs, so not much more at this stage is expected, just for the evaluation team to receive an overview.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next question from, I'm sorry again for the pronunciation, Elko Kruitsinga, please.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? My name is Ilko Kruitsinga.
Yes,
thank you. Thank you for your time. So just a very, probably a basic question. So I was really looking at the back end of your process. So as soon as you have these investment concepts accepted and approved, what is then the process that the facility will go through to actually match those proposals with the requirements of various investors? Because as you may know, not every investor asks the same things of investment concepts. So I just wanted to explore with you, what is it that you will be doing? Will you be posting those investment concepts on a website, or you'll be guiding people towards the right investors, or what is the process there towards the back end of the process then? Thank you.
Yes, so maybe just to answer your question, the first answer that I would like to give is that we have developed this investment concept template. So it is a standardized document, and it will be the same for everyone. So it could, of course, happen that maybe in the Netherlands, the financing institution will ask you something slightly different than in France or in Poland, let's say. But we actually worked with a quite large group of financing institutions in this stage of development of the investment concept template, and we asked them to check whether the investment concept template makes sense to them, whether there is enough information that they would need if they had to finance the project. So it was a collaborative work, and we agreed on this all together on the template that will be available on the website. So we really believe that the most important information is already included. And then to match you with then the second question is whether the investment concepts will be displayed on the website. So of course, we would really like to publish the investment concepts, but we also understand that there could be some maybe confidential information. So we will always ask the beneficiaries for the permission to display publicly these investment concepts on the website, or maybe we will remove some information that could be confidential. And the last thing is how we will organize these different matchmaking events with the investors. So this is something that we still have to think about. At this first phase of our project, we were really developing the whole process, the application process, the investment concept template, and so on. But our next steps will be to start to think about the strategy on how we will organize these different matchmaking and capacity building events. So as David has said before, you can feel free to consult our website regularly so that you don't miss any important information. And there will also be a special communication done afterwards with the beneficiaries of the EUCF, so that they are always aware and on time about what is planned and what support we will provide.
Thank you, Jana. Maybe just to comment on the capacity building event and matchmaking.
Yes.
We also want to weigh how it goes with the calls and the geographical distribution and the impact, so to see and understand how to maximize those events and those matchmaking. So for sure, you will have all the information when we time. So we can go next question now, and I do have a list. Just a second. A question from Marielle Buisson, please.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for your presentation. I have a question concerning the level of local authority in France, because we have one level is called the département, and I think it's eligible because it's part of NUTS 3, as far as I understand. And I would like to know if really the département could apply or not to EUCF. And then another part of my question is, which canal are you gonna choose to communicate and advertise in France on the EUCF call to reach small and medium-sized cities or local authorities? Do you plan to make a communication through the Association of Small and Medium-Sized Cities, for example, or the Association of Departments? Because one part of my job is to be in touch with I'm working for a department, but part of my job is to be in touch with smaller cities on our territory, and I would like to know if there is a national way of reaching them, that they will receive the information or not. Thank you.
Yes, so for the second part of your question, we will be working with the National City Network in France. The name was displayed on in the presentation of Davide.
Okay.
So you can consult it later on. And also Energy Cities actually has a very big membership base in France. So we already started to communicate about the EUCF. So we hope to reach quite many cities through our network as well. And of course, we are very open to partnerships. So even among the participants, if there are any representatives of other national city networks than those that answered to our call for networks, we are really very happy to work with them and to share all the information with you so that you can relay it to further to your members or to other local authorities that could be interested in the EUCF. As I said before, we also started to work with different financing institutions. Some of them are national promotional banks, like, for example, Caisse de Dépôt in France. who are also running programs, support programs for cities and for municipalities. They were also interested to promote the EUCF through their channels. And also part of the consortium is FEDEREN, which is the Federation of Local and Regional Energy Agencies in Europe. So their members should also be aware of the EUCF. And for your first part of the question about the department, so primarily the EUCF is targeting cities, but I think that as I said in the FAQs, we will have to clarify for different countries the organization of municipalities, departments, and metropole and other things like in France could be a little bit more complicated. So we will try to consider yeah, this not case by case, but to answer very clearly in the FAQs who is eligible and who is not. And if there are any colleagues of mine who would like to complement the answer, please feel free.
Hello, Pavel speaking. I have one very simple answer. If you look into the list of municipalities which have the law code in your country, then you will know who can participate individually in the application. If it is grouping, then each member of this group should have its own individual law code, which is in the database maintained by Eurostat.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we still have some time to go through a few other questions. Jana, confirming.
Yeah, maybe 1-2 last questions because it's 12:30, and the rest we will answer in the FAQs. Yeah.
So I have next in the list Christina Logolu, please.
Hello, from Greece. I'm working for the municipality of Lumenica, a very small city. Do you believe that an application for from a very small municipality can be accepted, or you prefer group of municipalities?
Yes, so as Madeleine explained, energy savings and investment size will be important factors that will be considered in the application form. So there is no minimum size, but you will be in competition with other municipalities. That's why it is very strongly recommended, and it will be also awarded in the application phase. If thanks to the fact that you are in a grouping of municipalities, your investment size will also be higher and your project will be probably as well more innovative than if you applied as a single very small municipality. Just to give you a concrete example, what we would like to avoid is to have a very small town, let's say, who would like to renovate one school or one school and a kindergarten, which is really a small project. We would really like to encourage rather a bundling of several projects together so that you group the single projects into an bigger investment package. So either you can do it alone, or if you're a very small municipality, usually you cannot because you don't even have, for example, so many buildings, and you can rather join forces with other municipalities. And like that, you will also have better chances to succeed.
I'm talking about sustainable mobility for the city and not saving energy for buildings.
But it is valid for all the sectors that are included in the EU City facility.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe I can just add one point that in the evaluation process that the applications will be set in context with the other applications of the regional call, but also in addition the applications will be evaluated towards the local context in which they're set. So it's not just depending on the size of the energy savings in relation to the other applications, but also based on the local context. So if in comparison to the population size, for example, if the energy savings are ambitious. This could also be, of course, the case for a smaller city. So we're not just taking the number and just say this is higher, this is lower, but we also look, the evaluation team also looks if it is ambitious in terms of the local context. So this also can benefit smaller cities, just as an addition.
Thank you very much, Madeleine. That's very important what you have just added. Maybe we can take the last question because we are running a little bit behind the schedule.
So for the last question I had in list, Ottmar Schlager, please.
Hello, here's Ottmar. Thank you from Austria. My question is, the investment program may include public buildings, public facilities, as well as company facilities and also private ones. Is it right?
Madeleine, would you like to answer about the investment concept?
Yeah, thank you. So about which sectors are eligible? Yeah, so as long as they are in the field of, yeah, as I said, sustainable energy, this is possible. The only kind of limit that we have is that the sectors are in sustainable energy.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Fine.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I think we will stop here with the question, right? I just wanted to mention that as I wrote in the chat during the webinar, we have reached maximum capacity for the webinar, but no worries because the webinar has been recorded and everything will be available through follow-up email to the ones registered, but also on the UCF website. So please let know people that you know have been out of the webinar because of maximum capacity to find all the information on our website in the next days. Thank you.
Yeah, and on behalf of the whole UCF team, we would like to thank you very much for your participation. We wish you a very nice day, lots of good health, stay safe, and please follow our website for all future information about the call for proposals, call for applications, the news, the events that we are planning. And also do not hesitate to ask more questions through the help desk that we presented today. And we count on you as well on improving constantly the EUCF and the support that we provide to you. So please do not hesitate to provide us your feedback and suggestions. Thank you very much again and have a very nice day. Bye-bye.